Welcome to Keto Meals and Recipes.com. Today I'm going to make my version of a carnivore crepe. This crepe is clean keto, high protein, and gluten-free, as are many of my recipes. If you've been following my channel, you know by now that I really love to introduce new recipes for you so that we can have a variety of great food to keep on a keto or low-carb diet, or just to have healthy meals for our family. This is not one of my original recipes. I simply modified it. But it's one that I found on a really interesting channel by Chris Cooks Nashville. He calls it a tortilla recipe. I thought that the crepe or tortilla would have a very eggy taste, but I was curious and I wanted to try it. We were all pleasantly surprised. It was really good. My family didn't exactly think it tasted like a tortilla, so I modified it a little bit, and when I made it again, my family said, "This tastes like a crepe." What really pleased me about this modified recipe is that my sons, who are not keto, really loved it too. And they've asked me to make it several times since I first introduced it. One last thing I want to mention, although the crepe batter is very easy to make, there is a bit of a technique to actually making them, so please watch the entire video, where I will show you the technique that I came up with that worked best for me and may be useful to you as well. In order that you can decide how many of these crepes you can enjoy, the macronutrient ratio for each crepe is 3.9 to 1 with 1.3 grams of total and net carbs, since there's no dietary fiber in the recipe. On this counter, I have assembled all of the ingredients I'll be using in the recipe. As you can see, they are all protein-based. So let's get started. To a mixing bowl, add your room temperature cream cheese and fat. I'm going to use bacon fat because I like the flavor and I have a fair bit of it on hand. And then either with your hand mixer or stand mixer, beat on high speed until these two ingredients combine into a very smooth and lump-free texture. At this point, pour in your cream and whip for about 1 minute to combine into a nice smooth consistency. Now get your whole egg that has been whipped and pour it into this mixture. And then continue beating until the egg is also combined into the batter. Now it's time to add the dry ingredients. Sprinkle in your gelatin powder, your finely ground pork rinds. I actually find these are optional, but do add them if you want a little extra flavor. Then add your egg white powder and also the grated Parmesan. And pour in some of the water, then whip to combine on low speed. As you can see, the batter is still quite thick, so I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of water and whip to combine. As you can see, my batter is still quite thick, so I'm going to pour in another 1/4 cup of water and whip to combine. Add the water a little at a time until the batter is the consistency you want. After adding the water, the batter is a bit thinner now, like the consistency of thick pancake batter. At this point, I'm going to increase the speed to high and beat for 1 more minute. And also I'm going to stop and scrape the sides and bottom of the bowl because the cream cheese tends to stick to it. Here's a suggestion to make things easier for you. I pour the batter into a piping bag that I have placed a clip on the bottom so it doesn't run out. Next, place your nonstick crepe pan or nonstick skillet on your stovetop set to medium-low heat. And using a pastry brush, lightly grease the pan. I'm going to use my bacon fat again. When I notice that my fat is sizzling, I next pipe the batter to make about a 4-inch or 10 centimeter disc. I have found that the best way to spread the batter is to use an offset spatula and then spread it from the middle out to a diameter of about 6 inches or 15 centimeters. One thing I have found, if you're going to leave your batter a bit thicker, I think it's a good idea to cover the crepe with a lid. This way it'll keep the heat in and cook the top a bit at the same time. Keep an eye on it, and when you notice that the edges are starting to look dry and the surface doesn't look wet anymore, Slide a spatula under the crepe and carefully flip it and cook until the underside is a light golden as well. Then immediately transfer the crepe onto a platter. If you have any problems with your crepe, if you notice that there's a little tear or hole in your batter, one thing you can do is spoon a little bit of batter and smooth it out over the surface. This will fix any error or little problem, and no one will know. And then just repeat until you've used up all of the batter to make the crepes. A second technique that I have found that also works really well is to pipe out a 4-inch rim and then fill it in, and then use your offset spatula to spread it out as before. Both methods work really well, so just use the one that works best for you. These carnivore crepes can be kept in the refrigerator for a few days. I have found that 3 to 4 days is perfect. They still taste fresh. However, if I'm not going to be using them within that time, I like to freeze my crepes. And the best way to freeze them is to lay them flat in a large container and place a piece of parchment paper between each of the crepes. This way, when I need a crepe, I can remove 1 or 2 or as many as I need without them sticking together and then falling apart when I try to remove them. Now, you can reheat in the microwave, or you can preheat your oven to 200 degrees Fahrenheit or 93 degrees Celsius and lay the crepes on an oven rack. Heat in the oven for 5 to 10 minutes or until the crepes are nice and pliable, but be careful, do not overheat, they will dry out. All right, now, having done that, this is how I use these crepes. As I've shown you in my previous bacon jam video, I like to fill these crepes with my bacon jam because the sweetness of the bacon jam goes perfectly with these crepes. Or just whip up some unsweetened whipping cream and use that as a filling. However, if you're not trying to be strictly carnivore, any of my berry jams also work very well with these crepes. I also like some of my savory fillings that I've made for crepes. Let me know in the description box if you'd like me to post some of those. Although we are not strictly carnivore, I have found that there are several carnivore recipes that we have introduced into our diet that I have not yet posted. So please let me know if you would like to try some more carnivore recipes to put into your keto lifestyle rotation. And if you would like some more carnivore recipes and have any suggestions of specific ones, do let me know. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch my video. I hope that this carnivore keto crepe that might be a useful recipe for your lifestyle. I'd also like to ask you to share this recipe with someone that you think might also enjoy it and come back when I post my next video. Your support is so very important to me. Until next time, have a happy and healthy day. Cheers!